watch your head. This is beautiful. We've gotten lucky here. We've seen them before, but they bloom only in certain conditions when the water level is very low. So to have stumbled upon a bloom of this exciting magnitude is really, it's lucky. So I'm really excited. It's kind of surprisingly hard to catch. It's like you almost don't feel it. These strange squiggly slimes form on the walls. And these are really, they're probably the most beautiful slime I've ever seen. We don't understand how they form. It's still a mystery. But we know they're made by life. This question of how much of the universe is understood is very much a moving target. Because as we are able to stand in a new place because we've learned something new, we then see other wonders that were not even visible to us before. Wait. That says in. That's forbidden. Do I get points for pedestrians? How can this be the right way? Yeah. See, he's late for lunch. That's why he's impatient. He's late for lunch. We are headed for physics lab to talk to a physicist in the physicist's habitat, which is always interesting to see, an organism in its natural habitat. So I'm a microbiologist, and I'm hoping that the physicist will be able to communicate what he does and why in terms that I can understand. I'd like to keep an open mind about this. Lei per caso Davide D'Angelo?
Bene, sì.
Io sono Jennifer.
Tanto piacere, Davide.
Tanto piacere.
Benvenuti.
Sì. Grazie.
You need to fill in some forms. So there's a disclaimer.
I love forms. I love forms.
Okay. And then we can eat some lunch at the cafeteria.
Oh my God, look at him, he's awesome. The hair, Galileo, Newton, D'Angelo.
Okay, dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe the dark matter is there, but we have never detected it.
It's good, this cafeteria?
It's better than the average cafeterias, I would say. Buongiorno. Ciao. So I'm sorry, but you won't like this lunch much.
Non è vero, non è vero. What is dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Do you know we have dark matter in microbiology too?
Really?
We stole the word.
What do you use it for?
Well, we have some evidence that there are something like 35 trillion microbial species. And we've met about 1 million. So the rest is dark matter.
Okay.
Yeah, we stole it. I admit it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because what we call dark matter is some kind of new particle which we haven't discovered yet. Ciao Alessio.
Salve. So the hypothesis is that dark matter is out there because it's consistent with all of our observations.
Exactly.
And so it might not be out there, but we think it is because of what we
Until we
observe.
detect it, we cannot say we are sure.
Aha.
All observations point in that direction.
This is very mysterious.
This is very mysterious. Dark matter is one of the big unknown in particle physics. Of all the matter that should be out there, about 85% of this is invisible. These particles are moving through us, through our bodies while we are talking, and most of them just go without any interaction.
So how are you going to find it? How are you going to detect it?
So, why are we here?
Why are we here?
We are here under about 1,800 meters of rock. We are deep underground because all the experiments here, whether they look for dark matter or for neutrino or for any other kind of rare event, they need to be shielded from the cosmic radiation. There are protons or heavier ions that hit the atmosphere. They create a shower of particles that hit us above ground. And the mountain is a filter for this. So if you go here, you have the so-called cosmic silence. So you...
Cosmic silence.
Cosmic silence.
We're here in the cosmic silence
Yes.
under the mountain.
Yeah.
I love that.
So you can't hear the cosmic rays here.
I would love to see the new detector.
Okay. It's not ready yet.
Okay. So this is your new experiment.
Yes, this is a prototype still. It will prove the whole detector concept.
Okay, so this dark matter that we think it exists, but we're not that sure. The crystal that you're going to put inside here is going to help you. It's going to be the best possible detector that you know how to build.
Yes.
This crystal's inside there. How do you see what the crystal is seeing? How does the crystal talk to you on the outside?
It emits light, and then you have two photomultipliers on each side. And then you read the photomultipliers out to here. It's very simple. Yeah, you see light, you record it. It's simple.
Dark matter physicist.
What's simpler than that?
I keep having to like loosen my helmet because my head is getting bigger by the minute. I have to say that I was starting from pretty much zero on dark matter. So this is what I understand about how it works.
We are rotating within a sea of dark matter particles.
There's a container.
So we build a detector, which is whose core is a
Special, very carefully grown crystal.
sodium iodide crystal.
When the crystal gets hit by this dark matter particle,
You see a tiny flash of light.
that light is going to be detected by these devices that are sticking into the edge of the container. And those devices then translate the light into an electronic pulse that goes to a computer that says, hey, dark matter particle, I'm here. So if you just had to, I know this is not what we do, but if you just had to guess, where's the dark matter? Can you guess?
No.
You would not hazard a
Science
guess.
is not about guessing.
I know. It's not about guessing, but I mean, sometimes I dream about a result that I might get.
I can tell you this. So here you also see the models, like the minimal supersymmetric models foresee dark matter in this area here. Okay, extra dimensions models foresee dark matter in this area here. These other guys, it's going to be here.
So we have no idea.
Some other guys will place it here, so we have no idea.
We have no idea.
Okay.
In my field, I would say 10 years ago, if you asked me where would we be now today, I would have had a very hard time answering, because we're really, we're not just filling in the details. We're looking into some dark abyss where we just can't see very far in, and depending on where the flashlight shines first, we might go a different direction completely. And so it's very hard when you're right on the edge of this big unknown. It's very hard to say where the science is going to go next. Is that where dark matter physics is now, or is there something analogous?
We are surely on the verge of something we don't know what it is. It's so unbelievable that there is so much more matter in the universe that we have realized so far. We don't know what it is. I mean, we need to find out if this is true, if there's really dark matter out there, if there is another explanation which we haven't thought about, because science is also this. Sometimes you spend several years looking for something, and then in the end it's not there, and you have to change in the way you were thinking at things. Okay, I'm going to the toilet. Do you want to shoot that too?
Oh, look at that. You guys, this is incredible. These are stalactites. Do you see? It's a soda straw. It's a bucatino.
This place wasn't here 20 years ago, so it cannot be.
No, it can be.
Can it?
I think, yeah. I'd like to know what it's made out of. It could be salt. And then it can grow very fast. See all these stains? They're all light harvesting microbes, all of them. The red color is one kind, the dark color is another kind, the green one is another one.
So you have flavors like neutrinos, flavors of microbes?
We have flavors of microbes.
How many do you have?
We have 35 trillion flavors.
Okay, that's more than the 3 flavors we have.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's
But
like,
yours are sterile or not?
ours are not sterile.
No sterile.
No, we don't know any sterile flavors yet. That would be. Oh, that's an interesting question. There's this problem in biology where we think all of the 30 trillion species have descended from a common ancestor. But, and that means it's easy for us to see them because we know what to look for. But if there were another ancestor, we wouldn't be able to see it because we don't know what to look for. How long have we been looking for this stuff? This dark matter, how long have we been looking for it?
At least 20 years, and for direct searches, maybe more.
Okay, so that's, yeah.
Of course, if you see dark matter, okay, you win the Nobel Prize. It's a different thing. But if you don't, you're going to make a good publication
You still
anyhow.
feel good. So what makes you different? What makes you willing to search after something that we don't even really know exists?
It must be there. Come on. It's not a way.
Where do you get that, though?
Science is a journey. It should take you somewhere where you've not been before. Some people prefer to concentrate on life sciences. Some others prefer to understand how the universe was built. I mean, I've studied only physics, so I don't know what my mind would be if I had studied a different subject. observed. Those 2 days in Gran Sasso weren't enough to get used to this.
And where are we going now?
You mean today? I don't have the faintest idea. I want to be shocked.
Hey.
Hi, Davide, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, yeah. So you're Davide, yeah?
Yeah.
You know I'm a psychologist.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know what you study, so I really have no idea. So I can imagine something like the Ghostbusters scene where you show me cards and I have to guess which one. No.
Don't worry. My main research interest is consciousness. How and why the biological activity of the brain produces conscious experience.
So, Professor. Let's see.
No, I'm not going to psychoanalyze you. We work mostly on consciousness. Now, consciousness has been described as one of the most significant problems of the 21st century, on a par with the origins of the universe and the origins of life and these super big questions. It really remains a sort of mystery to figure out how the biological activity of the brain produces mind, basically mental states. One of the difficulties with studying consciousness is that it is a private phenomenon. I know I'm conscious. Mm-hmm. I think you are conscious because you behave in ways that I expect to be associated with consciousness, even though I cannot really define it. But the point is, I do not have access to your own mental states, right? So we have 2 experiments planned.
You're not going to stick pins through my head, no?
No, but if you're willing, we're going to put electrodes around your head
why not?
and see if you can make a robotic hand move by your thoughts.
So, ready?
Oh, I always thought I would have donated my brain to science.
What we're trying to do here is you're learning what thoughts to imagine so that the hand will move, what the distinction is between thinking that and thinking something else where it doesn't move, and so on and so forth. The argument, the crucial argument, is that this is not built in. During your development, you have to learn, your brain has to learn how to interact with your body. Agency as part of what it means to be conscious.
Each 3 seconds, you will see a red arrow pointing to the right, appearing on the screen. Mm-hmm. And when you see this red arrow, you have to imagine a movement. Given that this is a right robotic hand, it's better if you imagine a movement of the right hand.
This one is intentional. This one is intentional. This one not.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I would like to spend here a week and master this thing.
Yeah, there's lots of interesting physics questions to be asked, of course,
to explore
about
all the different movements.
You know. Do you now feel you have some control over that hand? And
Partial.
yeah.
Partial.
So that's about sense of agency, really.
Like
but there's also...
If I can really focus in the sense of excluding any noise, then I get
you
like
feel, or at least
4
you
out
can
of
feel
5 movements
how you
right.
will. Yeah, okay.
But then when I start thinking about what's going on,
it's fragile.
and then
It's
then
fragile.
it's fragile. Then I lose it.
But so the idea is that it gets less and less fragile, or more and more robust.
That's true. Even in these few minutes, I think
as expertise goes on, basically, until the point where you don't have to do anything special. Basically, your all this effortful thinking that you're doing just goes away, and you just will the finger to move, and it moves. And that's what happens. That is what happens with natural bodies, with our own bodies. It's important in this context to remember that consciousness is not one thing, right? It's different kinds of mechanisms which together characterize the adult human mind, which we know is a conscious mind. If you're an empirically oriented scientist like I am, you want to do experiments. And so the challenge is to figure out how we can explore our mental states from a scientific perspective. All that happens in our mental life, it all comes from the biological activity of the brain. And the brain is this incredibly complex organ composed of about 88 billion neurons. Each neuron has a connection with about 10,000 other neurons. How do you design experiments that will help us understand this relationship between the mind and the body? You're trying to solve this problem, like how do I design the algorithm or, you know, the loop?
It's creative, yes. Sir.
And yeah, it's really creative. But, you know, I wake up at night thinking about it.
Yeah,
and there's almost nothing else.
And you
that
can
I
go
think,
to sleep if you have a
yeah,
bug.
exactly, exactly.
So you're a nerd too.
Whatever. Oh, it's 100% nerd.
I think this laboratory is doing really interesting things. I mean, it's going to very basic questions about what actually is the definition of consciousness, of self-awareness. I never knew that there was somebody tackling these questions from with a real experimental point of view. So this is far more experimental than I expected. I say, okay, these guys are psychologists, they're gonna talk all the time and that will be it. That's not the case. I mean, they have hardware, they perform measurements, they discuss data, so it's... I think we're on the same page with Axel, I mean, really.
So that matter has mass.
Dark matter must have mass, yes, must be massive.
But so mass you can detect, right?
Yes.
That's how we know it is.
Yeah, that's why we know it's there.
So where is it?
It's going through us. This is the hypothesis.
Okay.
So
this place is full of dark matter.
Yeah, it's like neutrinos in a way.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We're the only ones drinking. You guys.
Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there. Because it's...
Oh, is that even a possibility?
If there is no dark matter out there, we need to think really hard what's the other explanation. But
and your career is over.
no, I mean, you move. It's never over.
No, it's never over.
You turn something down, and
right?
it's even fun
That's
when it violates expectations. I mean.
Well, that is what makes science really exciting, right? Absolutely. I mean, whatever happens, and there's always something to think about or theorize about or understand. So if there's no dark matter, indeed, you know, that's what it is. Well, I'm not worried that there's no consciousness, right? So that's the problem I don't have.
Yeah.
Right? I know there is consciousness. If there's one worry, is that, you know, we're not making sufficiently fast progress to truly understand how it works. And
what is defining how fast enough is fast enough?
I don't know. I mean, in my lifetime, maybe. You know, that sort of worry. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel that we're sort of really far off. As an individual, you've done that for 10 or 15 years. You feel, okay, are we getting there? Are we getting there? We're not really, you know. So
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I'm sure. But of course, everybody's dream is to make, as a scientist, is to make a big discovery, you know, and to truly advance the field. I don't think it's going to be me, I mean, you know, but there's something exciting about, as an individual, feeling connected to these really big issues. This is what we want to do. We want to try to solve the hardest problems. Why would we be here if not to do that?
Is there going to be like a text that says, Dr. Luke McKay, astrobiologist, at the bottom of the screen?
Is that what you'd like to, what would you have it say?
I mean, what keeps me up at night is, are we alone? The microbes that I study in hot springs, clearly defining the boundary conditions of life on Earth, is kind of paramount to understanding where life could be in space.
You know the term shotgun?
No? Well, I know what a shotgun is, but...
Yeah, well, that's from the olden days when people would ride horse and wagon, and you would be out.
With a shotgun?
We'd be on the frontier, and
Okay.
the guy riding shotgun would be ready for the bandits.
All right.
So you ride next to the driver. This is how you would get to Burning Man. I'm told. I've never been.
And now you're too old.
Now I'm too old. So the Earth's crust sort of is this crust layer on top of everything, and then wherever there's kind of a puncture or a crack, a hole in that
Get this.
is where you get this. This whole region is geothermally active. But you can see in this entire area this connection to the subsurface world.
That sounds spooky.
Yeah, connection to the subsurface world.
Oh, so this is it? There's fumes going out of it.
Oh yeah, look at that. Just quickly, we'll give you a spiel about safety around hot springs. When a lot of people hear the word hot spring, they think of something that you can get in and have a nice time in. But the hot springs that we typically associate with and study are way too hot for that. And
you can go in once, but only once.
And you'll never come out. It won't come out the same.
Is there anything to like about this place? I mean, there's snakes, fumes, danger, temperature, you know.
That's exactly the question.
That's exactly
What is there to like about this place?
We love this place.
Yeah.
This kind of place.
Yeah.
So the extremophiles are you guys, not you guys. Not
Yeah, we both are.
Not whatever we're sampling.
We're the extremophiles.
So this is a little bit wet here. It's getting more wet. Are you guys okay?
I'm okay.
All right, let's just do it.
It's gonna get wet, a little wetter here. And just turn that on, and then I'll drop the end of it in and let me know what that says. I'm interested in what the microbial community is here. So the first thing I want to do is figure out what's the temperature range and what's the pH.
It's hot enough.
Hot enough. Great. Okay. Now that should slowly climb, but you let me know when it
pretty quickly.
maxes out.
So the temperature is 72.2 Celsius.
We can start collecting. It's really clogged. I can feel it complaining. Yeah, so there they are. Our friends.
At this point, I don't know who lives here. These are sediment samples taken from the edge of this hot spring, and we'll take these back on dry ice to the lab, and we'll perform what we call a DNA extraction to see what sort of novel, unknown microorganisms might live in this environment.
While I feel strongly that life exists in outer space, it is technically an unknown. And this is probably what links my work to Axel's in a way. What would it be? What would their equivalent of a brain be? What would their equivalent of consciousness be?
There you go. Nice.
All right, cool.
Nice. Yeah, okay, now finish everything.
Yeah, okay.
Now you just kind of unravel them, and they'll kind of tell you what they want to do. Do you think the universe is knowable?
I don't know. That's a question for a physicist, I guess. But,
Yeah.
dark matter is a great example.
Yeah.
You know, that this very concept that, you know, does not interact with light. We have
Right.
no way of perceiving it. That feels really weird to me. You know, that
Yeah.
is, I don't know, matter around here maybe that
Yeah. Yeah.
we have no way of perceiving. And in a way, we sort of forget that we're always limited by our own senses, right? I mean,
Right here, human beings.
okay.
Okay, that's a human. So if you had to guess where on this tree of life would be a palm tree, where would you point?
Well, over here, yeah?
Right here.
No? Right there, a palm tree.
Yeah.
Why? Why would it be there?
Well, if you had to get, because I didn't draw every branch of the tree of life,
okay,
right?
okay, yeah.
So there's more than however, what is this, 50 branches? There's more than that many organisms on Earth, right? So I'm drawing these major groups, okay? So if you had to guess where a fungus would be.
Well, here.
Now you know. Yeast would be
Okay,
here
okay.
or maybe back here. Insects, flowers. When we think of the diversity of life, we don't think anywhere
No,
close
it's
to the
okay.
total diversity of life. This is a
Point well
domain.
taken, yep.
This is a domain called eukarya,
Okay.
and that's our domain, eukaryotes. And then this is archaea, actually, which is what I'm very interested in.
Okay.
And this is bacteria.
Well, and you know what? You sort of just drew a brain. I can't believe it. We're back to brains, you know?
No, can you show me where the hippocampus is?
Oh, it will be here. You know, it will be here in the middle. Yeah. But the point is amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the point you're making about diversity and how we think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And all this unknown bit, you know, that
Yeah.
nobody sees, in
Yeah.
fact, right?
And the point that I want to make is that even microbiologists know very little about bacteria and archaea. Historically, our knowledge of microbiology is based on this sliver of the total diversity of life.
Right.
And it wasn't until DNA sequencing that we started to discover all of this enormous majority of
Unknown
life
bit.
that's unknown. Let me get this started, and then I'm going to let you do the fun part. Why don't you put 2 scoops in?
Come here. There's a very dark, tiny bit that I'm interested in.
We're going to shake it.
Okay.
And those beads are going to shear the cells, and that's going to spill the DNA.
Ooh.
And we put them inside here. It's a centrifuge, so it spins things very quickly. But it's an ultra centrifuge, so it spins things really, really fast.
You want to be really sober when you're looking at this.
Start to feel a little
It's like
wobbly.
fireworks. Yeah, no, but I mean, it's so colorful and so literally full of life.
Each of these brightly fluorescing squiggles is a different type of bacteria, or maybe the same. Then if we change it to green, now we're looking at the archaea again, and you see
Many
this is
more.
this in the same hot spring, the same sediments from the banks of a hot spring. This is many more archaea in that same hot spring.
Yeah, it's a whole universe in a single drop. right?
Exactly. And it looks strangely similar to the universe.
Well, you know, I mean, I wasn't going to say that, but
Yeah.
stop with the analogies. But,
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it is. It does.
It's really cool to have that perspective of peering down so closely and focusing on microbial life. At the same time, you have this visual connection to outer space.
I am an observer of forming stars. I'll be looking at clouds of gas, trying to understand these mysteries of planet formation. This is the origin question of how we got here.
Hey, I'm Luke McKay.
I'm Rachel
Good to
Smith.
meet you.
I don't even know what you look like. I didn't know who you were.
Yeah, well, here I am.
Hey, look at that. Some
Hey.
real cows they brought in.
Real cow. They
Some
might be
Hollywood
robots.
cows.
You never know.
I don't
or
believe
holograms.
it. I don't believe it. Who manages their cows that way? I love going to the summit. It's one of my favorite places on Earth. And scientists all over the world want to get time on these telescopes. It's one of the best observing locations in the world. The altitude can affect people in different ways that aren't always predictable.
How high is the summit?
It's almost 14,000 feet. You sure this isn't like a motor smell? Or gas
No.
pedal smell?
I think it's just dust.
We're really ascending now.
Yeah. Whoa, look how high we are. Oh my God. We're like above everything.
We're above everything.
I feel like a little kid on Christmas.
Good.
I feel like myself on Christmas because I really love
What's the altitude, but okay. The happiness is the lack of oxygen.
Whoa.
You don't appreciate how big they are until you get here.
Oh my God. So cool.
Near spec, yay! Oh, it's our instrument. Come on, let's get a photo.
This is so cool.
So the primary mirror is what we're looking at right now.
Okay.
And you can see our individual segments. There are 36 segments,
Right.
hexagonal in shape. It makes up that 10-meter surface.
The point of the mirrors is to capture and concentrate the light.
Yes.
When it comes in, bam.
And then the mirror
Sends it to a single
an
point.
instrument.
Okay, I got it.
So this is a tool, this giant mirror with its 36 segments on this high location on the planet to explore towards the center of the galaxy, essentially.
That's the coolest sentence I've ever heard, I think. We're gonna point this at the galactic center on Sunday.
Yeah, we're gonna get light from the
This is awesome.
center of the galaxy.
Yeah.
We're gonna be looking at some forming stars. This is like a spaceship in a way, but instead of bringing us to space, it brings space to us.
There are very many analogs between what she's doing and what I'm doing. And the way she takes a sample is she's capturing light from these distant places in the galaxy and using different machines, basically, to look at that light in different ways. Something about the light can actually tell us something about the chemistry of that zone of star formation. And we're gonna stay up all night because night's when all the good stuff happens.
We work hard to get this telescope time, writing the proposals, and it's a privilege. One night we had bad weather, and that was it. You could come all this way, and we could have fog, and they could close the dome.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I didn't really get the whole thing of not looking into a telescope. Like, I didn't understand that the telescope is way up there on top of the volcano, and we're gonna be down here in town looking at computers, which in hindsight makes tons of sense to me. But I guess when I heard that I'd be doing this, I was like, oh, sweet. Like, we're gonna be up all night, like peering through the lenses of this telescope. And that's, in fact, not at all what's happening.
They have to have a K filter in to do the telescope focus.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, the webcams look great.
Yeah, it's going to be a great
Very
night.
Clear, relative humidity is quite low. We're ready to go.
Is this a filter wheel? That's exactly like a microscope.
Mm-hmm. Microscope's a little telescope.
Yeah.
For the tiny things.
It's a telescope for the tiny things. It's cool, you can see it like moving. And the stars become lines.
There it is.
That big bright light is your first star.
And this is showing how much of the light is coming through. There's a nice bright star without a lot of sky. You know how we saw all that noise in some of the data? This is really perfect. Look at it. It's like a painting. It's like what we love this all night.
So we've been here for 7, maybe 8 hours, wandering through the Milky Way with the Keck telescope. Rachel's signature of choice is carbon monoxide. And that can tell you a lot. That molecule can tell you a lot about star formation. And this is clearly where my understanding breaks down. Cue Rachel.
The cloud of gas around a forming star is made up of lots of molecules, one of which is carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is the exhaust that comes out of your car, and it's toxic, and you don't want to breathe that stuff, but it's actually a really important molecule to study in our galaxy. Carbon is a key element to understanding how planets form and understanding how molecules we need for life are formed. We don't have that full picture well understood. The data we get from the telescope open up a window into something that might be going on. How can I, as a small person, answer a question about the cosmos? You have a puzzle with 1 million or 1 billion pieces, and we've got one piece.
Star log, chapter 24, part 3. The film crew is gone. It's just us. I'll do perspective shot like this.
All right.
Yeah.
But don't touch it yet.
I'm not touching anything. It's almost 5:15 a.m. in the morning, and we're getting the last bit of data possible before the sun comes and ruins everything.
Have you ever seen flowing lava before?
No. Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Oh my God! This is so cool.
Oh my God.
my
This
God.
is, you know, it's like the same thing. It's like we can't go to space, but we can use telescopes and we can come here.
Yeah.
And it feels
It's like bringing space to us.
It's bringing space to us. And
Yeah.
this process makes me feel the same way it felt like on Mauna Kea in Keck.
Yeah.
In a way, it's like we're looking at origins in space, and this is an origin of our planet. I would love the experience of going to space. Seeing out a window, being surrounded by the darkness of space. Really going off into a capsule and kind of looking out and just being part of the cosmos that way.
You want some water? You want some water?
Get me some water.
Es coconuts or piña colada? Piña colada.
That's
Yeah.
it.
One roll?
No. Coconut, we're working, right? Yeah.
If he starts licking his balls, you know, maybe cut it there. Hi, sweetie.
Are you a girl? You may be a girl. Oh. From what I understand, we're going to a methane seep, and it's cold down there. And that's all I know. I don't know how deep it is. I was curious, and I don't know exactly what they're studying. But I imagine it's some kind of cool community of creatures.
There's something very magical about being down there and looking out the viewport, seeing things that maybe no other human has ever seen on the seafloor.
Rachel, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How was your trip?
It was wonderful. Really amazing. How was your trip out here?
Great so far. Amazing. Super amazing.
Great.
How many dives have you been on?
We were trying to figure this out the other day. I think I have maybe 17 dives. It's kind of cool when you're diving tomorrow. You just watch during the descent, and you'll see all these crazy animals.
Can you get pictures of those as you go down?
We weren't able to get.
Unless you go down too fast to get a picture, right?
Yeah,
As you
usually
descend.
you're so just caught up
in doing the actual work, right?
Yeah.
We could go into the juice bag business. They remind me of juice boxes. But no, you wouldn't want to drink this juice.
Well, if you're a microbe.
Unless you're a microbe.
That's good for now. We're going to leave a little corner open so we can add the chemicals.
Okay. Science made delicious. These are all archaea?
They're not all archaea, so it's both archaea and bacteria. So we're interested in the organisms that eat methane that are living in the rocks.
So people ask me this question a lot about why I'm doing what I'm doing and stuff. So is there a bigger picture answer that understanding the carbon usage in the microorganisms tells you?
Yeah, well, so methane is a really very potent greenhouse gas, right? We have huge stores of methane locked up in the deep sea, all on the continental margins. And most of that methane doesn't get into the atmosphere because of these microorganisms that eat it before it's released into the water column and up into the atmosphere.
When you dive in Alvin, do you...
And when you dive in Alvin?
Yeah, do I get to dive for sure?
Tomorrow,
They
it's you
were
and me.
Oh, yes. See? Confirmation on film. So
It's you and me tomorrow. It's on the
excited.
schedule.
Oh, I'm so excited. I was saying it's like going to another planet.
Yeah, it is. It feels like another planet sometimes. We haven't set up the ping pong table yet, but that is a high priority for
Is it?
today. Yes.
Is it really?
Yes.
All right.
This is the main lab.
When you're down there, Victoria, did you ever just feel it's something like this void? Or not so
no,
much?
I feel totally at home.
Yeah,
down
yeah.
there. I would stay down there.
Like, what would you say is the most amazing thing about diving down?
It's one of the largest habitats, if you want to call it, or environments on our planet, and we've barely begun to scratch the surface.
You know, you said like it's this empty, barren plain, but when we see that, we both see an amazing diversity. They're tiny, and they live in the mud, and you can't see them, and most of them are unknown, right, and haven't been described, but they're there. It's one of the most diverse places on Earth.
So the other thing you're going to want to do is the day you dive, we request that you take a shower before you come in the sub.
Okay.
And then you wear clean clothes, as clean as you possibly
Yeah.
say.
Is it because of how I look now?
No. We just always say.
This is where we're going. This is everything on the basket. At the end, when we're running out of batteries, that's what really defines how long the dive is.
Okay.
As long as nothing else goes wrong.
Right. Which it won't, because you said many times nothing will go wrong.
Right. Yeah. I guarantee it.
You guarantee, it's your personal guarantee.
Right.
So because it's cold in this sub, I brought, everything has to be natural fiber. Appropriately selected long sleeve shirt.
How are you feeling today as opposed to yesterday about the dive?
Just excited about it. Yeah. Why? Do I seem nervous about it? Should I be?
Oh my God.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Top lab copy, stay on the hatch. Okay, Alvin, top lab. Your launch altitude is 1,000 meters by type. You're clear to dive when the swimmers are clear.
Copy, 1,000 meters by type, standing by for swimmers.
Alvin, Avon, swimmers are clear.
Copy, Avon, swimmers clear, Alvin diving.
Oh, wow, it's green.
Yeah, it's really whoa.
Is this light?
No, we're in the middle of like a big blanket.
I think I see the. Am I seeing the bottom?
Yeah, you should. Right.
This is the coolest capsule. It is like being in space. And it feels more spacious the more time we spend in it. And we have enough peanut butter sandwiches to last at least another 30 minutes. The rate we're eating.
Oh my. Oh, look at these mussel beds. Wow, this is nice.
When they turn the lights on, you see these bright red shrimp, which is striking considering the muted colors otherwise. There's kind of a drabby color environment. And everything just seems slower because you're at such high pressure. The connection between the seeps and global warming is really interesting, and I hadn't thought much about that until talking to Victoria and Eric about it.
Methane is a greenhouse gas, much more powerful than carbon dioxide in terms of its potential to warm the planet. And it turns out these microorganisms that we study are using this gas to support their life and also support other animals that are found in that environment.
You get to the methane seep, you see all these really cool creatures. You see the Yeti crabs eat the bacteria. The base of this food chain is the bacteria and the methane.
Even though they're very small in size and we can't see them with our naked eyes, these microorganisms that we study are basically the methane gatekeepers. Hi, Rachel. This is Victoria. We are curious how your experience has been so far.
I've been taking video of what's out my window, and they've been getting samples. Eric and Mike have been getting samples. It's been really, really interesting. It's awesome down here.
We'll bring back good samples. Get my best to Eric.
We're taking rocks that are right in the middle of this flow of gas, and we're moving them different distances away to see if they change depending on how far away from the seep they are. We're trying to learn how this methane input affects the entire ocean.
When you move past the methane seep, the amount of life kind of vanishes pretty quickly. You end up being in this void relatively fast. I really like looking out and seeing nothing. It's like being in a spaceship.
Welcome back.
You know, I sympathize with astronauts who haven't walked on firm ground. We were only there for 6 hours.
So what was your favorite part?
I liked being inside the orb. Like, to just imagine we're in a metal sphere in the ocean, and it's kind of a little trippy inside with all the red buttons. We could be anywhere in the universe.
I really love looking at the samples when they come up from the seafloor, like kind of like every Alvin dive is Christmas morning, you know, the samples come up and we get to go and look at what people collected. My hope is that eventually one day we'll be able to really understand how microbial ecosystems tick, and I don't think this is even a 10-year achievable goal. It's been almost like this long-term obsession. The projects that I work on are a multi-year investment. Maybe many people who aren't in the sciences, a lot of times you just see a finished product of a nice publication, and we rarely write in the publication, we spent 3 years doing all of these other things before this finally worked.
Hi.
Hello, Jun.
Victoria, welcome.
Very nice to
welcome
meet
Boulder.
you.
Yeah, very
Thank
nice
you.
meeting you.
Yes.
So you're in California? You're based in California?
Yeah, I'm at Caltech.
Caltech.
In Pasadena. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes.
You didn't tell me. You're from Caltech.
Yes.
As we know, time and space is fundamentally connected. We are really exploring the frontiers of quantum physics and quantum technology. Have you watched the movie called Interstellar?
I haven't seen Interstellar, but
It was a great movie. You know, this astronauts went in near the black hole. When he came back, the daughter was much older than him.
Yeah.
And you will see some of that in our lab tomorrow.
Great.
It's not a science fiction. You can actually see clocks slow down as you get closer to the center of the Earth.
No kidding. That's...
It's a relativity effect that Einstein postulated 100 years ago. That's called a general relativity, that time is all relative. And when you have heavy mass, it's going to warp the space-time around you, and the time is going to be different. And we can test that. If you raise your watch by a couple centimeters, the time speeds up. At a very small level, only modern atomic clocks now can detect those.
Okay. So you're saying if you move your watch a few centimeters distance, you
can tell the
detect
difference.
A change.
Yeah.
And at what level, like how many decimal points do we need to go out?
It's 10 to the 18th.
Okay.
Yeah. Clock is really a quantum sensor. I actually like to call it as a sensor. It's something we use to measure. Well, thanks everybody for showing up. I would like to introduce you to Victoria. She's a professor at Caltech. The thing that impressed me most is she dived down 5,000 meters into the bottom of the ocean and studied ecosystems.
I'm part of the Geological and Planetary Science Division at Caltech.
But today, I think we want to give her a treat. Kind of participate in a group discussion that's very technical on the physics side of making clocks and understanding strontium atoms.
Go easy with the descriptions.
When things get really, really cold, the quantum mechanics matter. The fact that an atom is not a particle, but a wave begins to matter.
We want a very particular frequency. We want that to be as precise as possible.
For this upcoming clock comparison, where we're going to compare one of these strontium optical lattice clocks to a ytterbium optical lattice clock.
This is sort of a boring image, and that's good. We want these images to be as boring as possible.
So hundreds of terahertz as opposed to tens of gigahertz frequencies.
Just to make sure I understand. So you have your ground state, and then you shine light at a certain frequency, and then you look at it again.
Yes.
And then you're seeing how many of those atoms then are at the excited state and what's their spatial distribution.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? She totally understands the clock measurements.
Yeah, well,
Please welcome to our lab. It will be very different from the ocean field.
yeah.
So it will look a bit random with lots of entropies, but believe me, all the cables there's a purpose for all these cables. Maybe I'll take you right into this particular system right here. If you look just to the right side of this lens into the vacuum chamber, do you see a little ball of blue light? These are like 10 million atoms of strontium fluorescing under this light. And you can see it's a stationary, right? There's nothing else in there. It's vacuum chamber and light. Those atoms provides this swing of the pendulum that when you open the grandfather's clock, that's the first thing you see is that it's something that's swinging back and forth, a pendulum. That's your pendulum right there, that blue ball, which is oscillating at about 1 million billion cycles per second. Is actually the world's most accurate atomic clock that's ever built. It's called a strontium optical lattice clock. Would mean that over the entire age of the universe, it would lose less than 1 second of the time. The fact that we have this open right now, we are filming it, the clock won't work very well right now because we are all here. We are warm bodies. We have a lot of temperature gradient. It's probably changing these mirrors by just such a small, tiny amount that can cause a little bit of a misalignment.
The fact that they can control atoms under super cooled conditions, but we're looking at it like it's just hanging like a magic ball of light. It's wild.
So Chris and I are academic brothers.
Yes, we've known each other for more than about 25 years, I guess.
Yeah, yes.
So this laboratory has one of our optical atomic clocks in it. Atomic clocks play actually a very important role even in driving your car in the sense that the whole GPS constellation is full of atomic clocks.
How many people hit a NIST data server to synchronize their clock?
Yeah, so we get something like 20 billion hits a day.
20 billion.
20 billion.
Which is, I mean, Google, I think, gets something like 7 billion hits. Now, granted, Google's requests are a little bit more complicated than, what time is it? Computers all around the world are constantly hitting NIST, asking for what time it is. So what we have here is the calcium thermal beam clock. By far the best part is when the light is hitting the atoms and the atoms are telling you stuff.
Communicating.
This process just, it really is infectious.
Yeah.
You can tell Chris is very passionate. He's talking about atoms, humanizing them. He's talking about he and she is communicating back. You know, once you get into this very intimate game of getting information out, you do feel like you're talking to something almost like intelligent, but it's just something you can't help because you get such an intimate working relationship with them.
I mean, some people say, well, what do you need another digit on your atomic clock for? I get asked that question all the time. And the answer is that time, sort of paradoxically, is a quantity that we don't understand philosophically very well at all. I mean, no one really, I think, has a great sense of what time really is. But we can measure it 5, 6, 7 orders of magnitude better than any other physical quantity.
Yes.
We have not really seen any fundamental limits to clock.
What you can do, yeah, right, exactly.
You can't just say, oh, we'll never get better than that. We haven't really seen that.
To build the very best clock, if you say, if I raise my clock from the ground up and the time speeds up a little bit, as you move towards the mountain, time will slow down.
So just like going to the center of the Earth. So you're moving towards a bigger mass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the big mass that matters.
Could you, by following how much time slows back out the mass that is
say you place clock around your Yellowstone National Park and see whether there will be a danger where there's too much mass to start to amassing underneath and eventually it's going to erupt. It would be great to have that warning. And the clock will tell you that. Measurement really is at the heart of the modern science. Everything is based on measurement. There's still certainly many mysteries out there. Science has always gone this way. You use what you have understood, you build a better instrumentation, and you go out there, you measure, you'll find things which is different from what you predict. You have heard the terms of dark matter, dark energy. There's something beyond, and we don't know yet what that is. There are explosions happening when the black holes merge. There's gravitational waves being emitted throughout the universe. Maybe we can even hear the echo of Big Bang coming back from the edge of the universe. As you build the clock to the 19th, 20th digits, what are we going to see?
I guess I was always interested in the brain. It still, at the end of the day, might prove to be this mystery that we can't understand.
Hello, Jun. Nice to meet you.
Anil Seth.
Yeah,
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you for coming to meet with us.
Welcome to the beautiful Sussex countryside.
This is incredible. I've never been here. The ocean's right here. I know. What do you do?
So I'm a neuroscientist. Actually, my background is quite varied. I was trained in physics, actually, to begin with. Or
yeah, I'm a physicist.
That's what I've been told, so
okay.
I'm looking forward to
I'm just learning about you
things.
right now as we speak. I'm a physicist. I build instrumentations. That's why I'm curious about how you interface with the brain.
I think what's frustrating is we recognize how poorly we're able to measure things. Yeah. And so there's always this analogy that the current brain imaging methods that we have, it's a little bit like having a microphone like this, sort of 500 kilometer in the sky, and you're trying to listen to a whole bunch of people shouting different things in a field below. We may still just lack the sufficient technology, and it's.
You hit a resonance there when you said, it's all about a measurement science, and I have colleagues who build magnetometers, which can be implemented around the brain and do brain imaging. So we develop instrumentation that hopefully can be useful for you guys.
Excellent. Bring any with you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, what's that? That's a camera. That's the other important part of welcome to the UK, of course.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah.
See some countryside, have a drink. Just get half a Harkins and do you just want
just a glass of water. Yeah, thank you.
I'm interested about our experience of what you might call psychological time, speeding up as we get older.
Can be very subjective.
Part of the puzzle is that we don't have time detectors in our brains. I mean, I think it's one of the long-standing challenges is to figure out how the brain constructs the experience of time, given that it's got no time sensors. What's it based on? I think it'd be very interesting to see what you think of this. And this is Warwick Roseboom.
Hi, Jun. Nice to meet you.
He really knows much more about time than I do. This will be the first time we've run a subject, on this particular experiment.
What's going to happen is he's going to watch this video, right? And that'll go for some duration. If you look through the magnet ball,
yes.
At the back there's a screen.
Okay.
And it's showing the same thing that you can see here.
Okay.
And then after that video finishes, this will come up. You just move the joystick until the number on the scale represents how long you felt it went for.
Okay.
We are going to be recording what his brain is doing. And the reason we're doing this is it's obviously nice to be able to see inside somebody's brain, but we are trying to see how well our model of time perception matches to what Yun's brain is doing. Quite loud. Is that okay if we start the experiment now, Jun? Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So now we're waiting for the first video to come up. Pretty stable scene, there's not much going on. This is one of our office spaces in the other building. It's just lots of people thinking very hard, not much actual visual stuff happening. Good, you can see he's making a response. See how long he thought that was. How well did you think you did?
I felt I was doing well.
We think you may not have done quite so well.
Okay, that's good, yeah.
The first few videos, it seemed that
I was way off.
You looked like you were overestimating quite a lot, which is interesting for somebody who's built the world's most accurate clock.
That is my brain, huh?
That's your brain. Do you recognize any bits of your brain there?
I don't. This is the first time I'm looking at my brain. I've never done this scan before.
Okay. We don't have time sensors in the brain. Time has to be a construction. One idea is that our experience of time comes about through how things change in our visual perception. There's lots of change and maybe our durations will seem longer. If nothing changes, our experience of time will be really impoverished. So we're trying to close the loop really and come up with a unified explanation of human time perception. But it goes deeper than that. If we want to understand the relationship between brains and consciousness, in my lab we've got mathematicians and physicists and virtual reality engineers.
Oh, now it looks very strange. For a second, the student turned into animals. I've never seen things like that before.
One of the things that I've really tried to cultivate is a very interdisciplinary approach to get at this problem, this basic problem of how consciousness happens.
What a beautiful place, yeah.
There's this perspective, I think it's a pretty poor argument, but it's called Mysterianism, yeah? So there's the idea that even if we have arbitrarily fast computers and all the technology we want, there will still be some things that will forever defy our understanding because we humans are cognitively limited in some way. However much we magnify our cognitive abilities through technology, there must be things that we cannot understand however much help we have. In the same way that, if you're a frog, however much help you give the frog, it's not going to understand quantum mechanics. It's still a frog. So there might be an equivalent for us. But on the other hand, the history of science has been quite astounding. There have been things that people would have thought completely beyond our understanding.
And you can keep
and
going.
we have.
Oh, I have only known Anil for 2 days. I feel he's a true scientist. And it's really appealing to me that, we can speak coming from very different scientific disciplines and yet speak common language.
It's been a real pleasure to spend time with Jun. He's such a nice man in addition to being a brilliant scientist. And you never know where these conversations go.
Step by step, we can ask deeper questions. So we know we are making progress. But how long it's going to get there, if you ask me that question, I couldn't really make that prediction because discovery itself is a very uncertain process. And it's actually exciting. There remains to be very many mysteries out there that are waiting for us to discover.
The history of science is full of examples where an understanding has been developed for something that seemed previously entirely mysterious. And the reason it can do that is because it's a cumulative enterprise. You don't start from scratch every time in science. You're building on a whole tradition, not only of knowledge, but also of methods and techniques.
Atención, por favor. Esto es un aviso de seguridad. Favor de no dejar vehículos desatendidos en la vialidad.
The mind is all the time processing all this stuff that it shouldn't have the capacity to process. And so one of these things is our experiences. How do we make sense of an event? Like, your folks are watching this movie, and at the end of this movie, someone might be like, hey, how was The Most Unknown? How was that film? And people will have an answer. Like, how did they do that? You know, is your mind keeping a running ticker of how good the movie is? You know, they see the monkey parts, and that was really good, you know, it goes up, but the physics is boring, you know? But like, and so it turns out that when psychologists look at that, people simplify it. So people only take into account 2 points, the peak of how good it was and how it ended. That's all we're taking into account, which is kind of amazing. Like, it means the movie has to end really well, so I'm glad I get to be the last scientist.
So we're here in Puerto Rico, and in a few minutes we're going to be going to an even smaller island in the Caribbean, which is an island that's just off the coast of Puerto Rico called Cayo Santiago, and it's home to about 1,000 free-ranging monkeys. Glasses fuck up. Puppy! I know you don't know these folks. You want non-shiny glasses.
So not
Yeah.
these ones.
No, yeah, they won't like that.
See, that's good advice. I didn't.
They'll see themselves and it'll be very threatening.
Ah, okay.
Hola.
Okay.
So it's prettier than the lab.
This is a lot prettier than the thing.
It's an early wake-up call, but it's really beautiful. You get to enjoy it.
It's fantastic. First question. So, what is the main motivation for your research out here?
So I am a psychologist, a cognitive psychologist by training, which means I'm kind of interested in how humans think. But I find it's really hard to test humans by testing humans. Like, we have culture, we have teaching. Like, to kind of get down to human cognition without all the extra stuff is hard. And the beauty of the monkeys, as you'll see, is like they're just being monkeys. You guys into Pokemon Go? There's like really good Pokemon on the dock, so I was trying to catch the Pokemon. No one can get these because they're here. However, we're walking around the island, find a path that's like furthest from all monkeys. Staring at them right in the face is like a threat. If they get upset with you, you'll kind of know about it. They'll start threatening you like, ah.
So how close is this to the natural habitat they might have come from?
So macaques are the most ubiquitous primate other than humans. The lore is they treat us like walking trees. Like if we almost stepped on them, they would move, but we're just kind of part of their environment. Yeah. And we're a slightly bigger group with the camera than we normally would be, so some of them are like, what? So our group does cognition work down here, which means we're really setting up experiments. We have to kind of stay in a compact spot so we're not interfering with data. So we're gonna also get a little poolside show. So those are a bunch of kid monkeys. Who's gonna go for it? Psych yourself up. But it's like, it's so high, right?
So are they having fun?
Yeah, this is playing. Maybe, do you think the female on the rock?
I was looking at her, yeah.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna show the monkeys a little show about what information Casey has about where an object is. And so this one she's gonna do is the boring one. So this is one that the monkeys shouldn't look for a very long time at all. So they see her watch it go into that box, and she reaches for it there. What we're looking for is how long they watch that. And you can see Shireen's behind her, and she's filming how long they watch it. Mm-hmm. The expectation is the monkey should lose interest more quickly.
Is this something that works in controlled conditions that monkeys can do, or?
I think it would work under controlled conditions, but you don't often in captivity have big enough sample sizes to do it. Mm-hmm. So now the monkey is going to have a different belief than Casey. And so they see Casey watch it go into one spot, but then when Casey is not paying attention, the monkey can see it switch.
Now,
You can see this monkey doesn't seem to be finding a bone. He's looking for a long time because it's unexpected. We're interested in whether the monkeys can know that somebody has a different perspective than they do. We're expecting other minds to do these kind of jumps that our own minds do, and it's not clear they do the same thing.
There's been this real question about whether another animal can think about what somebody else is thinking. Can they think about what somebody else sees? So if monkeys know what other individuals see, they should use that information in productive ways. And one productive way is in the context of deception.
We gotta find a nail or like a stick. Most of monkey science happens with duct tape and foam board.
So what are you making?
We're gonna make a little platform for them to steal grapes off of.
Oh, I see.
We give them the opportunity to steal stuff from humans. The question is, do the monkeys steal more when folks aren't paying attention?
This experiment is a first pass to see, can they use any of the social abilities they have to like deceive us? Are they sensitive to this simple thing of what we can see and what we can't see? Take one step towards them like this, and then now hold your platform horizontal like this and show him the grape, and then place the grape down onto the shish kebab it. Good. Now we're gonna put the platform on the, hey, wait, no, buddy, you gotta wait. Here, step back, take your grape off. Yeah, he's very forceful. No, now you don't get to play because you're being mean. We could try again, but let's do it from slightly further back, so we'll do it even from here. All right, hey, monkey. Okay, turn around. All right, he's.
So I have no idea what's going on.
You can turn around and grab the grape. Yeah. And turn around.
Anything happening?
Still staring at the film crew a little bit. Now he's threatening the film crew again. I'm trying to like just stare off into the distance and pretend I'm not paying attention.
What's fascinating here, I mean, we just tried this experiment and it didn't really quite work.
Typically when we run these studies, it's just 2 people, 2 grapes, no one else is around.
Quite large camera crew hanging around too.
And it fits with our hypothesis, right? The hypothesis if monkeys see people are paying attention, they just hold back. They don't steal from anyone. And there's a lot of people here paying attention. They're very worried about the surveillance state that is starting on their poor island. Whatever we do down here, it's nice if other folks are doing similar work in other places so we can kind of triangulate what the animals really understand. Even when we find things that don't work, we replicate it, we try it again. Part of our task is to put the pattern together of what works and what doesn't.
To be a scientist, you have to deal with uncertainty all the time. But you're just thinking about other possibilities in general. What if the world was this way? Science is all about holding multiple things in mind. And ultimately, it's probably using these very same rudimentary capacities that we're seeing in the monkeys. Getting outside your own head is a lot of what science is about. That's what we're trying to do with the brains we have, to understand our place in the universe. You might think, watching scientists, that we go through a lot of frustrating things to do our science. Like, why would we do it? Functionally, what scientists are doing is that we're trying to solve a really long mystery novel all the time. And we get to the end of the chapter and we think we've made progress, but then there's a new door and a new twist. For us, that's fun, that there's more to go.
Are you Jen.
I'm Jen.
It's good to meet you. I'm gonna give you a hug. I feel like I know you already.
I can't believe you made it here before I did.
I was so excited about the caves, I couldn't help myself.
So let's see. Suit.
All right, I gotta figure out how this hat works. Is it like?
So there's a little button there.
Oh yeah. I think you gave me a broken one.
One thing I feel at a gut level is that humans get smarter the more different things they experience. We can't possibly imagine the things that we might learn that might be useful to us. We're slowly creeping towards understanding, but we're sort of toward the beginning.
Open up your throat and let the all of that time, all of that time, all of that time go. I know it sucks that daddy's done, but try to think of what you want. You got to open up your throat, man. Open up your, 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 open up your throat. Open up your, open up your, open up your throat and let the all of that time, all of that time, all of that time go. I know it sucks that daddy's done, but try to think of what you want. You got to open up your, open up your, open up your throat, man. Sports brothers, 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 sports brothers. You got his way, what he said.